Alright, what's going on, everyone? We have the Challenger deck Decklists. They were announced yesterday at the time of this recording. Hopefully I get this out today. And they're looking pretty good with a few minor issues. So today, I'm going to eventually do, full upgrade guides and all that. But today I just want to go over the deck list. They were just announced. Take a quick look at them, give you my first impressions. So first off, just looking at the values, we have $128 for Orozov Phoenix. We have $120 for Demir Control. We have $103 for Gruul Stomping. And we have $100 for Orozov Humans. Now, do keep in mind that these prices will go down over the next month, right? People who own these cards, like, I don't know, Questing Beast, they're going to know that this price is going to go down. So in turn, they're going to sell them. So I would say by the time these release, these more expensive ones will be closer to $100. This $100 one will probably be in like the $80 to $90 range. But yeah, they're pretty good to start with. In terms of the cards, so first off, I just want to say I called it with this deck. I think some people in the comments said it as well. We were right. We did not get the full 4 copies of Arclight Phoenix. We got 2, and also I made another prediction here, which is that we would get a banned card. We did get 2 expressive iterations. So this is gonna work like the mono white aggro deck. If you buy this and play it straight out of the box, you can play this card even though it's banned. And if you upgrade it or change it in any way, then you do need to replace expressive iteration. It probably just goes into an impulse, which was just printed in Dominaria. I'm not too concerned about this. I'm more concerned about the lack of Arclight Phoenix. Only 2 copies kind of sucks. 2 thing in the ice. I think I called that exactly. I think I said 2 thing in the ice, 2 Arclight Phoenix, which is just that's just wrong. So here's a more typical Arclight Phoenix deck. We see 4 thing in the ice, 4 Arclight Phoenix, only 1 Crackling Drake. Everything else is very similar though. A lot of these cards are in our deck. If we go to the Challenger deck, we get Consider, get Fiery Impulse, Flame Blast, Bolt, Lightning Axe, Op, Charter, right? Like a lot of the key cards are here. Also note, we get Shocklands, 1 of each, but each deck has 1 Shockland. We have Watery Grave here. We have Stomping Ground here. We've got Godless Shrine here. So that's pretty cool. So you get a Shockland. These decks usually sell for like $25 to $30, and it's a $20 Steam Vince in there. Still get $26 worth of Thing in the Ice, $17 worth of Arclight Phoenix. So overall, I think it's still a great deal. If you want to play this deck, this is still a really good starting point. You're still getting $130 worth of cards for like $20 or $30. So it's a good start. It needs more of these, unfortunately. So I would expect, at the very least, you should plan to buy 2 more of these Arclight Phoenixes. And they are, what are they? They're $9 each right now. They might go down when this is printed. We'll see. Next, we have Demir Control, and this is interesting. Again, we got $120 worth of cards. We have a Watery Grave. We have 2 Drowned Catacombs, 2 Torrential Gear Hulk, which is what this deck usually plays. We got a playset of Fatal Push, which are surprisingly expensive. So from a value perspective, it's not bad. It's playing the typical Board Sweeper Extinction event, very common in this deck. We've got Dig Through Time. Most decks are playing 1 to 3, so we're on the high end there. I would say the biggest issue with this deck is the lack of Shark Typhoons. Most Demir Control decks play 3 to 4 copies. I can show you here. So first off, you'll notice a lot of the same cards. You got the 2 Torrential Gear Hulks. This one's playing Urtai and Hullbreaker Horror. That's not always typical. We got the Consider, Fatal Push. We've got a bigger variety. Something that most competitive decks do is they play a wide variety of removal. So like instead of playing just a playset of 1 counter spell, it's playing 2, 3, 4 here, stuff like that, right? So if you look at the Challenger deck, they usually give us like a whole lot of 4-ofs. We also get Drown in the Luck, which I think is actually pretty good. But yeah, very typical. One thing you'll note though, 4 Shark Typhoons, and this is very typical if we just start clicking through decks here. Only 1 Torrential Gear Hulk here, but we've got the 4 Shark Typhoons. This one's playing the 2 Extinction events. A lot of the same removal here. If we just go to the next one here, just gonna flip through lists. I think this is the one we started with. Let's go here. I don't know. Yeah, we got the Urtai apparently is pretty popular. We got 2 Torrential Gear Hulks, 4 Shark Typhoons again. A lot of them are playing a single copy of Shadow's Verdict, I've noticed. But again, a lot of the same removal. If we just clicking random Dimir control decks. Here we've got 2 Torrential Gearhulk. This one only has 3 Shark Typhoons, notably. One Shadow's Verdict again seems pretty common. But once again, very similar removal. So I would say, overall, see if we can find a weird one. Here's a weird one. Jay's, yeah, this one's a little bit out of the ordinary. Only 1 Shark Typhoon in this one. I think because they're making it up with lots of Planeswalkers here. Click one more just because. This one's playing Murderous Rider and Scarab God. That's interesting. This one's playing 1 of each here. 3 Shark Typhoons. 2 Extinction Events, 1 Shadow. That seems to be very typical there. So yeah, if we look at our list again, I guess we could swap out one of these dig through times for Shadow's Verdict, but we have a lot of the same removal. We have the 2 Torrential Gearhulks. We've got a Narset, 2 of them actually. The big thing that seems missing is maybe 2 or 3 Shark Typhoons, and they are $12 each. So ideally, I would want a couple more of these. But overall, definitely not bad. And, $120 worth of cards is a pretty good start. So definitely not unhappy with it. Just needs to be upgraded a little bit, and we'll be doing that. Gruul Stomping. So this is normally called Gruul Mid-Range, and it's this deck has a ton of different builds. So if you look through Gruul Mid-Range decks, you will find like 50 different versions. The key point is that they all play 4 Elvish Mystic, 4 Llanowar Elves, and then they have just like whatever big aggressive creatures that the player wants. So there's a lot of variety here. But in terms of value, we've got 2 Questing Beast, so that's pretty good. We've got 2 Chandras, that's pretty good. We've got the Stomping Ground. We've got a play set of Rockfall Veils. And the sideboard, we have Rending Volley, which is surprisingly expensive. But if we look at, let me close some of these useless windows. If we look at, like, here's the Gruul mid-range deck. Again, we got the elves. This one only plays 3, but we've got the elves. We've got Bone Crusher Giant. We've got Lovestruck Beast, Questing Beast, Glorybringer, 2 Chandras. So all very similar. There's a lot of differences as well. This one's playing Gruul Spellbreaker, Klothys, 1 copy of Elder Gargaroth. But if we switch to like another deck, it'll be very different. We have, once again, we have the 4 elves. We've got Chandra, that's typical. But then what do we have? We've got Bone Crusher Giant again. We have Reckless Stormseeker, Halana and Elena, Elder Gargaroth, Ghalta. Very different, and that's very typical. Ghalta and Halana and Elena are very common. If I flip through, I think these 2 decks are identical. I think someone copy-pasted like just a deck. They're identical, I think. But this one's got Dragon Lord Atarka, 4 Elder Gargaroth, a Cruiser of Corfix. Actually, this is just very different. Yeah, this is much different than the other decks. All right, we're going to disregard that one. But this one's got the 4 elves. It's got Bone Crusher Giant. What do we have? Glorybringers here. But then we have Tovolar, Halana and Elena, Rekindling Phoenix, Elder Gargaroth. Very common. Unfortunately, I don't think we will be able to add this to our deck. They're $15 each. So I'm not going to be recommending these in my upgrade guide just because of how expensive they are. But it does seem very common. I'll probably mention it. But we got Chandra again. So yeah, we're looking at these deck lists. We'll switch to one more. Why not? Again, we got the elves. Got Bone Crusher Giant. That seems typical. And then yeah, we got is this the same deck? Did I click the same deck twice? It's definitely the same list. But I don't know if I clicked. This one's got Ronos and Serac the Hunt Caller. But again, Elder Gargaroth common. But we see a lot of the same cards again. We see Bone Crusher Giant. We got Glorybringer. Got the 2 Chandras. So there is a lot of variety with these decks. But we do have a lot of the key pieces. We had the elves. Got Bone Crusher Giant. Got the playset. Got Glorybringer. Got 2 Chandras. So very typical. And then we just have, like, our deck has Lovestruck Beast and Questing Beast. We have a Scavenging Ooze, which isn't typical. I don't think I saw any deck playing this. This is more of a sideboard card. But overall, yeah, I think it's fine. $100 worth of cards. Get that for $30. It does all the stuff it's supposed to do. It's a little bit different, but they're all a little bit different. All of these decks are a little bit different. And yeah, I think this is totally fine. So pretty good. Pretty happy with that one. And then we have Orozov Humans. This deck is interesting because Most human decks are either mono white or like Abzan, but I've played Orozov Humans in Explorer, and they're pretty good. A lot different than this deck, but it does have a lot of key pieces. You get your 4 Thalia's Lieutenant, that's important. 4 Luminarch Aspirant, that's great. 4 Thalia is good. Rally of the Ranks is very atypical. This isn't very common, but, you know, it's alright. In terms of value, the mana base in this one's crazy. So the main board, you know, we get some good stuff. All of these key cards, these 3 cards are critical, and they're also like the most valuable cards in the main board. But the mana base is crazy. We get 4 Concealed Courtyards. That's surprising that we get the full playset. We get 1 Godless Shrine. Get 2 Mutavaults. That's nice. So those are like $7 each. So that's cool. And then we get these as well. So I think this mana base is probably better than, like, it's much better than the typical mana base we get. So that's nice. Comparing it to a mono white deck, we see a lot of the same cards. These two, again, if we look over, we've got Dauntless Bodyguard and, we don't have, I thought we had a Hopeful Initiate in this deck. Okay, so we don't have a Hopeful, I could have sworn there was one. Okay, so we don't get Hopeful Initiate, but we get Thraben Inspector, Luminarch Aspirant, Thalia's Lieutenant, Thalia, all very important. No Adeline. I would have liked to have seen an Adeline. Brutal Cathar is nice as well. Fortunately, these are relatively cheap, not terrible. This deck's playing Brave the Elements, which is interesting, but we see the Mutavaults. This is mono white, so I don't see any of the dual lands, but Mutavault is common. Let me see if I can find Orozov Humans on this site. I don't know. See, mono white humans is way up here. Okay, here's an Orozov Humans page. It's actually not that far down. So yeah, here's Orozov. We see Bloodsoaked Champion. That was in our deck. Here. Hopeful Initiate is the big thing that's missing, and it is a somewhat valuable card at $6 each. So that's notable. This has a Kytheon. All of these are the same. Yeah, Adeline and Brutal Cathar, I think, are the big missing pieces. This deck is playing Wedding Announcement instead of, we have Rally the Ranks. The mana base also very similar. The difference being that it has pathways, caves. There's the Mutavaults, right? So, pretty similar. Let's just start clicking through decks. We have a lot of the same card. Kytheon again. This one's playing Guardian, but we have these. A lot of these cards, right, are the main cards that we're seeing in a lot of these decks that we are missing. We'll click to another one, and once again, yep, we see these cards again. We see some differences, right? Here's General Kudrow. That's not been in every deck. Silver Quill Silencer. That's unique. But this package of stuff right here, Thalia's Lieutenant, Thalia, Adeline, Brutal Cathar, all seem to be fairly typical. Once again, we have Thalia's Lieutenant, Thalia, Adeline. This one's got General Kudrow again. Kytheon seems very common. Hopeful Initiate important. We got the Bloodsoaked Champion here. So yeah, it's definitely pretty close. This one's very different. With the Archfiend's Vessel. That's weird. But a lot of the same stuff again. No Brutal Cathar in this deck list. This seems more controlling. Does it have some sort of reanimation thing? Why is, Extraction Special. This person's using Archfiend's Vessel and Extraction Specialist to bring this back and get a 5/5 demon. So that's fun. That's not normal though. That's a weird thing. We wouldn't do that in our deck when we're upgrading. Yeah, a lot of the same stuff. So my thoughts here is it's all right. We have a lot of the key pieces. Again, Luminarch Aspirant, Thalia, Thalia's Lieutenant. These 3 cards, great. Giant Killer, not necessary. We've got some good removal. These are played a lot. Rally the Ranks, not typical. Good mana. Just needs I would say Adeline or General Kudrow, Brutal Cathar, stuff like that. But overall, seems decent. This deck is definitely much more aggressively tuned. Very low on the mana curve here. Rally the Ranks to pump them all up. How many lands is it playing? It's only playing 22. Yeah, so this is much more aggro focused. I think that's what they're doing here. So no Adeline, Brutal, none of the 3 drops. But overall, seems fine. All the decks, of course, need a little bit of work, of course. But out of the box, I think they're all probably pretty playable. This one's weird with the only 2 Arclight Phoenix. So I don't know how that's going to play out. There's a chance that I might try to play these on Arena. Not all the cards are going to be legal on Arena, but I might craft these on Arena, play them in Explorer just to to see how they play out with stuff like this. Like Thing in the Ice isn't even on Arena. This probably has to be replaced with Smoldering Egg or something. But yeah, I could try if people are interested. I think a lot of these cards are legal on Arena. But overall, I think you're definitely getting your money's worth. We see they're worth a lot. They're pretty good. They're good starts at least. This one's a little rough with the only 2 Arclight Phoenix. It's probably still fine. I think you're winning with Crackling Drake with this build, which is still good, right? Ideally, we take out 2 Crackling Drakes for 2 Arclight Phoenix, and I don't know, maybe a couple spells. Maybe these 2 expressive iterations go into 2 Thing in the Ice, and that's probably good. That gives you 4, 4, and 2. And that's probably fine. The mirror control is fine. It just needs Shark Typhoon. This is, again, there's no like very clear, perfect build for this deck because there's so much variety in the builds. But I think it's competent and it's worth 3 times as much as you're paying. And then the Orozov Humans, yeah, again, a pretty decent, aggressively tuned Humans deck that could probably use a 3-drop or 2. So overall, I would say I'm pretty happy with these. Of course, they're not perfect. They never are. But as a starting point to get into Pioneer, I think they're decent. And I think we could upgrade them for relatively cheap. So there you go. Those are the Pioneer Challenger decks for 2022. Let me know which deck you're most interested in the comments below. Also, let me know if you're interested in Magic Arena Explorer gameplay, even if the decks are slightly different. I'm not sure if people are going to be interested in that or if they're going to be angry. Like, why would you do that? Why would you play Izzet Phoenix with not Thing in the Ice and then call it the Pioneer? Like, I don't know if that would make people angry or not. So let me know. Let me know what you think. But yeah, thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.